I think in my business, which is a design, it's basically kind of business to business in the first place. But even beyond that, it's about personal relationships with people you know, and then whether it's through referrals or just cups of coffee at Starbucks, extending those referrals. So kind of whilst we also need people on the phone introducing us to new clients, what it was really about was raising the profile of the company and of, I guess, me, because I'm the one who knows the people. So raising the profile of the company and raising the profile of me, so that we became more palatable, acceptable in terms of in the eyes of some of the bigger spenders. So if you like, it was creating proof. So we came to Alex and 9mm in the first instance because of the people we met. Alex was the one who could make our content, of which we didn't feel we had very much, become more important and more valuable by using our thought leadership, our thought processes, rather than just our existing folio of the work we had. What we were about was about what we could offer, not what we'd done. Well, what you have to remember is my previous experience with doing a live presentation was either in a company where I went and stood at a table and talked to 12 or 15 people. And then I was once asked by one of our clients to come and do a talk. And I rather stupidly didn't do any homework. I thought it was going to be the same thing. I thought I'd arrive in a room, there'd be 6 or 7 of their senior managers, and I'd sit and talk to them on a one-to-one basis. And I arrived in this hall, there were about 400 people sitting there with a big slide projector and these tables. And you kind of think, it's like one of those comedy moments in life. You think, I can either run or I can bust this. It was I thought it was a disaster. Of course, you only need one disaster like that, and what happens is you immediately go, I'm useless at this, I can't do this anymore. But increasingly, as the business has been successful, more of these opportunities crop up, or occasionally people actually ask you, and recently we've just been asked to do one, they say come and do a talk. And one of the things that I think Alex and I looked at when we set this up, and it's certainly one of the things I believe in, is that there's nothing worse, and it's old expression, death by PowerPoint, is that there's nothing worse than someone standing up at a presentation and giving you a kind of A to Z of their company and what they do, because it is so dull. So one of the things that we had discussed was actually making this more relevant to our listeners, more engaging, and to tackle subjects which they could think about and perhaps question, not necessarily agree with everything, but actually think about what we were saying. And we've done a few now, and they've been remarkably successful, not in terms of pounds and shillings, because I don't think you can quantify those things, but in terms of opening doors to conversations, it's been a very powerful technique. And indeed, I went to a meeting yesterday where someone had heard one of the talks we did at the Retail Summit, and the guy actually gave me a hard time. He said, I really didn't agree with what you were saying about HMV. But the very fact he said that allowed me then to engage with him and argue the case. And we decided that in part I was right, in part he was right. But then that, to me, I went away from that meeting that I thought that just proved the value of teamwork in building better solutions for people. Rather than imposing solutions. So I think it's a very powerful tool, so long as you don't impose your language on people. You create subjects which are potentially interesting to the marketplace and generate questions in people's brains and minds. So very, very, very useful. One of the things that you've done with me, and you've used the expression thought leadership, and what it made me realise is that I'd always kind of assumed that I was just a bumbling guy who did a few sketches on a pencil and managed to make a living, thank God, But actually, you made me realise that I have actually been doing this for 30 years, and I do have a viewpoint. It is a valid viewpoint. It's not necessarily right, but I do have a valid viewpoint, and therefore I have every right to stand up in front of an audience and share that viewpoint with them, whether they agree with me or not. I have a right because I've been doing it for 30 years. That is my only right. I don't believe I have a right to spend all their money in design. I have no right. They have to work with me and see if we're the right kind of people. I think everybody has a lot in their brains that they lock away and they don't necessarily reveal because they're perhaps not confident about it. The one thing that I think working with you guys has made me realise that lack of confidence is criminal. As long as you're not arrogant and you don't believe you're right, I have every right to stand up and give people my views. So what you and I have done very successfully is enable me to express my views and present it to people in a way that is not arrogant, hopefully, is people can listen and they feel they can contribute. They can of course they can disagree, but it's made me realise that that's valid content. It's also made me realise something else, which I think is very interesting from a personal point of view, and that is that I always believed that other people did it better, and I now don't think that at all. I think their arguments are just as relevant. In terms of our profile growing and building a database of contacts who are in related industries but not directly related, then it's been extremely useful. And I've had a number of meetings with people. But the truth of the matter is, it's not going to a retail summit or doing a presentation that's going to deliver you a client. All that's going to do is someone say, he's quite interesting, let's have a chat with him. And on the basis of that, then it comes down to me. Am I good enough to convert that relationship into business? Now, I think I am, but I also aware of the fact that people don't just, people aren't just going to open their checkbook and give you money straight away. You have to be in this for the long term. You have to build a relationship and hope that at some stage in the future, when they're ready to open their checkbook, they'll think of you. So I think it's naive to think that by standing up and doing a talk, you're going to make millions of pounds. What you do is you open a few doors that maybe give you the opportunity to start that process.
Anything